Hey everybody, Demi here with a normal form review for once. I know, weird, right? So, what could I possibly want to talk about today, you may ask? Well, simple. I want to talk about Kingdom Cyclonus. I know I said a while back that my next review would be Impetus, but, I'm kind of burnt out on them, to be perfectly honest. I'll talk about them later on, but for now, I want to get to some figures I've been enjoying, and I want to talk about this one first. So, brief background on Cyclonus as a character. Cyclonus, as introduced in 1986's The Transformers the Movie, was a Unicron-born loyal second-in-command to Galvatron, the deranged lunatic. And, frankly, he was an underappreciated second-in-command. I mean, the only time going against Galvatron that I can remember Cyclonus doing was committing him to psychiatric care, which, if anything, just shows that he is a caring, loyal second-in-command. Also, I'd love to make a joke about Skywarp and Bombshell, either one potentially being Cyclonus, but to be perfectly honest, the only figure I actually have between the two of them is the Skywarp figures from the War for Cybertron trilogy, so I don't have a Bombshell to make that joke. Otherwise, I would. But, yeah, this is a Skywarp house just because I don't own a Bombshell, but believe what you want in terms of who became Cyclonus. Alright. Enough about the origins of the character. Let's talk about this figure himself. So, Cyclonus here manages to pull off a really well-designed, sleek robot mode. At first glance, I honestly couldn't blame anyone for thinking that this was Studio Series 86. And really the only things that show that he's Kingdom is the fact that there are these bumps for the blast effect parts, and then all these ports around for various weapons and such. The head sculpt for this guy is clean, angled, and precise, showing a competent, powerful warrior, but somehow also smooth enough to show that there may be a softer side waiting to creep out from underneath. Also, this figure is really making me wish that I had gotten that Legends tailgate that was released a while back, and the only one I have is the G1 reissue, so they clash in terms of photos, so I can't get cute romance shots. I'm actually upset by this. Anyways, talking about the figure himself, I also very much quite enjoy his blocky shoulders, though not quite super blocky, and also these bulbous arms with the little side wings hanging out, and a clever double hinge and flap on the wings to sort of shrink them for the silhouette. Also, while it's not in the instructions, and definitely not in any classic media to speak of, you can also transform his hands to the way that they are in his vehicle mode. Plug in a blast effect part. Pew! If you're not satisfied with his included blaster, at least. Legs are quite nice, though I'm not the biggest fan of exactly how they work. I'll admit, the sacrifices made in order to make his vehicle mode as gorgeous as it is, totally worth it. Go for it. But honestly, there's a giant hole in him, which normally, when you're just handling the figure and posing him, doesn't cause too much of an issue if you're just like standing it. But flying shots, you can peer straight into his legs and see some of the kibble inside. It's kind of sad, but not a deal breaker. It's still a wonderful figure. And also, while that's bad engineering, let's talk about a good piece of engineering from this guy. His back. Oh my goodness. They managed to take Cyclonus and give him barely a backpack. Like, honestly, that's not even a backpack. That is kibble that was designed to look like he could transform. That is not kibble that I'm going to fight against, and frankly, he has a nice flat back. It works for me. The back wing flaps are a little awkward, but compared to the backpack, I'm willing to forgive anything for this figure's robot mode kibble hiding. It's gorgeous. The way that they actually engineered to get that backpack hidden, great as well. I'll talk about that later, but oh, this guy shows. Chugs can have clean backs if they really want to. Also, just a quick side tangent on the whole box and packaging thing. I love the choices that they're making with Kingdom for their boxes as opposed to Earthrise and Siege, and honestly, the past couple of years. They're putting in more artwork, less window, which, granted, I like seeing the toy in the box, but I also really like the artwork that they're showing for these guys. Bringing back the murals has been great for the War for Cybertron series, and I just really like the golden disc motif that everything's had. The golden disc cardboard packaging that the character's actually on, the golden disc cards that show off potential fates of characters, which, by the way, this sort of peel-off design, I enjoy it, but I'm not going to show you what it is because I want to keep things mysterious. So if you want one, get it. They're pretty nice. Anyways, posability on this guy. Pretty good as well, honestly. All things considered, I was not expecting some of the joints. He's got a nice ball joint at the head, a very nice hinge at the base of the neck to allow him to look down and look up. He's got a nice rotation at the shoulder. The arm moves out. There's a nice swivel above the elbow, a very nice elbow bend, a very nice wrist swivel, a very nice waist swivel, straight 90 kicks both forward and backward, as well as a split that honestly gets me jealous. I need to start working on that. Very nice thigh swivel. A double bend at the knee, though again, beware the empty leg holes, I warned you. And then the foot has both a pivot and it can sort of lean forward to allow him to have a sort of angled stance. Doesn't go back at all, though. Honestly, good amount of posability on this guy. I am very impressed. And with a flight stand, like the ones I have, which sadly, Big Bad Toy Store no longer has. I actually had somebody contact me about that, but you can still get just about any flight stand and it'll work. You can get some pretty good flight poses in his robot mode too. Though, again, beware the knees. The knees will be your downfall. This is actually the same port in his robot mode that you'll have to use for vehicle mode if you're wanting to do that, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So, let's talk some size comparisons, yeah? For this character, here he is next to the previously shown Generation 1 tailgate reissue I have, next to his potential former identity, Earthrise Skywarp, and next to his fellow Wave 1 Voyager, Optimus Primal. Now then, let's get into the reason I haven't been able to set this figure down since I got him. The transformation. Oh my god, roll it! To say that this figure's transformation puts its wave mates to shame is an understatement to say the least. In my opinion, again, my opinion, feel free to correct me if you think I'm wrong, this is the best transformation we've seen so far from the War for Cybertron trilogy. I'm talking Kingdom, I'm talking Earthrise, I'm talking Siege. This is the best one we've gotten. Maybe Earthrise Prime. That's the only one I see having a real comparison to this guy. The way the nose cone assembly just flips around, unfolds, and unfolds again to sort of expand the whole vehicle mode, Gorgeous. And they did it so it doesn't have a backpack. Same deal with this, like, cockpit on a swivel with the arm assembly, so that the arms come back and meet with the legs. It's gorgeous. I love it. I am gushing way too hard over this figure, to a point where I'm going horribly off script. But hey, what else do I do here? Let's not lie. Alright. I have to admit, when I first got this figure out of the box, I was zooming it around like a little kid. It's just... I'm still zooming it around. It's great. I think the last time I had this much fun with a figure straight out of the box had to be probably my introduction to this entire Transformers brand when I was opening this Cybertron Optimus Prime, who I love so much. I will never replace him. And the Cybertron Hotshot that I had to replace because I broke him. But hey, still have one. This figure I have been having way too much fun with. I'm gonna be real. Then, oh, right, I'm supposed to actually talk about the figure and review it. So let's talk about some points. So, the vehicle mode, all in all, very good. Most of the combat ports either like hide away or just completely disappear, or kind of hard to accessible, like zooming in there, those side ports, nobody really talks about those. There is, however, a port on the top, on the cockpit, which, if you really want to, you can slap his gun up there. Personally, I like the way it looks, but that's because I really like putting my accessories on my vehicles. I like the way it looks, it's just me. But do it how you see fit. If you want to throw the gun in a drawer, throw the gun in a drawer. Who cares? There's also 4 ports on the back of the figure, which are very easy to throw on some blast effect parts. And then you get this fun little, like, blast effect, like he's taken off. It looks great. I love it. Now, there are a couple nitpicks I have about this figure. And I'm not gonna lie, I really am not a big fan of some of them. The first main nitpick I have, the underside of the figure. Now, arm kibble, that was part of the original design, so I'm not gonna fault him for that. But his chest and his shins just kind of hang out on the bottom. Now, honestly, especially with how the robot mode was lined up, I'm not going to complain that much about kibble on the vehicle mode. Because from the top down, it's gorgeous. There's just a little bit of a fault on the bottom. And honestly, nobody's really looking at the bottom of the jet mode. We've seen the Seekers. They have worse. And the landing gear that they have for it, yeah, a couple flip out of the shins and one out of the nose cone. But like, when are you going to display this guy just sitting in his jet mode? This is a figure that deserves to be shown flying. However, that brings me to my other nitpick about this figure, and slightly a more serious one. There is only one flight stand port on this figure. Just the one. And it is the same one that you have to use in the robot mode, on his crotch. Which, normally, I'm not going to complain about having a crotch port. I don't care. Robots are robots. They're going to have ports wherever they have ports. My complaint about the crotch port, this figure, the legs shrink up, so you don't have access to that crotch port. You have to, like, finagle it in there, or you have to transform it with it in place, or essentially, you have to reconvert the entire back of the figure just to plug it in and convert it back. It's annoying. But once you get there, oh, you get a real nice figure. You get a real nice flying pose. It's nice. And also, for the futuristic vehicle design, I actually really like it in terms of talking about Kingdom as a whole. Just in the fact that it's this whole, like, time mashup between the Beast era, normal G1, future G1. I'm very excited to see Kingdom Galvatron come out, or get announced, just to see how it compares in terms of matching with this guy. I want to see it. But let's talk about seeing it with some other figures real fast. So, for our size comparisons for the vehicle mode, let's talk about it with Tailgate. Let's talk about it with Skywarp. And of course, with Big Bot himself, Primal. So, as I said, this figure gets me super excited for Kingdom Galvatron whenever it gets revealed. We know it's coming, we just don't know what it looks like yet. And I may even cave on my never getting a Studio Series figure, not counting my Bloodswing, to get a Studio Series 86 Scourge, just to have all three of them. Because we're not getting a Kingdom Scourge, let's be real. But I want that trio. It's Galvatron, Cyclonus, and Scourge. That's the trio. So I kind of want it. And also, while it does fit the timeskip aesthetic of Kingdom, it doesn't really fit with the rest of my Decepticons. Most of them are early gen cons, so kind of don't match the theme. So these guys would probably be off on their own on my shelf. But the other reason I want to see Kingdom Galvatron, Shattered Glass Megatron, out of Kingdom Galvatron, please. If New Age can do it, so can Hasbro. Anyways, final thoughts on Cyclonus. Getting back to him. This is his video, let's talk about him. So, this is an amazing figure. As I said, one of my favorites from the War for Cybertron trilogy, as a whole so far. Haven't dealt with Kingdom Megs yet, but so far, this guy's one of my favorites. It has its flaws, though. I'm not going to kid you on that. It has its flaws. So, I'm going to go with a solid 8 out of 10 for this guy. I think that's fair. Definitely. Great figure. If you can find one, get it. Like, this is going to be the kind of figure that you're hunting for. Because this guy's going to fly off the shelves. He's going to fly. I may actually look into picking up a second one to try to customize it into a Shattered Glass Cyclonus. But I might want to wait to see if they do a 2-pack with a Shattered Glass Megatron to go opposite that Optimus Ratchet pack they did. I don't know. But for this kind of figure, 10 out of 10. Well, 8 out of 10, but you know what I mean. It's a good figure. Get yourself a Cyclonus. So, there's the review. I hope you enjoyed this sort of face cam sort of thing. I'm debating looking into doing this just going forward. Having a face shot to sort of swap back to with the photos. Because I feel like the shots I've been doing of just the rotating shot and some poses, it hasn't been that interesting. So we'll experiment with this guy, see how it goes. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you do have somebody you want me to talk about, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you in terms of what you'd like me to do. I've got plenty of stuff on my backlog to review if I really wanted to. I've got Scorponok here, I've got some Cybertron figures, again, if I don't do a 100 subscriber special anytime soon. I've got the rest of the Combaticons to talk about. I've got so much in the backlog. So if there's something you want to see, please, let me know. I'd love to do it. And of course, don't forget to follow me on all those other sort of links too. I have been a little bit more active on Twitter than usual. I tend to stream a bit on Twitch, though nothing really bot-focused. It's more video games and such over there. We're playing Persona 4, so if you want to see that. Then also, got Insta. You know, feel free. I'd love to see ya. And of course, have a great rest of your day, everybody. Bye. Boink.